what the idea that we had for the call was that I would give kind of a very brief overview of the Bowl-a-thon to kind of put everything into context, and then ask the panel members, which are Joni and Christine, who have done Bowl-a-thons, and I think, Julie, you've done one as well, I believe, last year?
Yes.
And then offer you guys a chance just to kind of quickly describe to the new folks what you've done, and then open it up to questions. So just to give you a really brief overview of the Bowl-a-thon and where it came from, about 11 or 12 years ago, one of the board members suggested to the NOAA Board of Directors that he had heard from someone who was in nonprofit administration and said that, what you really need to do is to come up with a signature event, and you need to do it every year, and you need to do it over and over and over again to build up a brand and build up a following. And since we are spread out all over the country, we wanted to come up with something that could be replicated very easily everywhere. So the idea was a bowl-a-thon, so that people would use a bowling event as a vehicle to raise money, which was the original idea, the very beginning of it. We figured that bowling was something that, there are bowling alleys everywhere, and that it could be something that would take off. And our thought was that in order to grow NOAA, instead of asking the people in the community, the members of the Albinism community or members of NOAA, to keep asking them for money, what the idea was to say, well, could we have a bunch of people go out and ask their friends and family for a little bit of money instead of asking the same people for a lot of money? What we learned was a couple of things that we learned, that the idea of the Bowl-a-thon, if you remember years ago, if it's a track-a-thon or a dance-a-thon or something, you'd ask people to sponsor you so many pennies a pin or dollars a pin or something, and you go out and bowl. And we tried to do that for a while, and either people didn't get it or it really wasn't that. It was a little too complicated. And what we discovered doing this the first couple of years is that there were two other really big benefits to doing the Bowl-a-thon beyond the raising the money that we kind of sort of saw going in, but didn't really realize how important they were. And two of those two things are, one is that it gives people in the community an opportunity to have their friends and family come together to kind of demystify albinism, to kind of explain it. Not everybody necessarily does that, but if you're going to ask people to come to an event and it's for a particular cause, you're going to kind of naturally going to explain a little bit about albinism to them and what that's all about. And the other thing that we found is that because albinism is spread out so thinly and so widely, as the years went on, we found that people were getting together. And I think, when Joni shares her experience, she can talk about how it really helped build the community in Wisconsin. And Christine talked a little bit about how over the course of the 8 years that she's done hers in Louisiana, that it has also, started out with just family and friends and has expanded from that. So that's basically what it's all about. We've been able to grow the event over the years, and we've also want to emphasize a couple of things that although we point towards this one weekend in March, it doesn't have to be that weekend. And the other thing that we learned in the first couple of years of doing this, or actually we learned it pretty quickly out of the gate, when someone says, "But I don't want to bowl," people in bowling alleys are weird, or something like that. And so what we've expanded it, and whatever event anybody wants to do to support this idea of raising money and awareness and community around albinism, we're very happy to have people do that. And so over the years, there have been skate-a-thons, a Zumba, Las Vegas night. What are some of the others that have happened?
There was a girls' night out, I think, in New Jersey one year. That was just one gal got several people she knew that sold different things. I don't remember what off the top of my head. They had jewelry, Tupperware, whatever, Avon, and, they just had a girls' night kind of shopping, and those consultants all, gave a percentage to NOAA of their sales.
One of the ones that I hesitate to mention, but it's kind of funny. One woman, and I don't know what possessed her to do this, but apparently had got her lady friends together, and they had a pole dancing class. So she called it a Bowl-a-thon. So,
right.
I think that only happened once, but anyway. So that's basically the general kind of placing everything into context and giving a real brief history. So if Joni and Christine want to maybe just take a couple of minutes each to talk about what your experience has been, and then we can open it up to questions. Take it away, Joni.
Okay. This year will be our 7th Bowl-a-thon in Milwaukee. My first year I was totally terrified. Coming at it from an adult with albinism view, I was terrified because I was putting myself on the line asking for money, as opposed to, I have kids, none of them have albinism, but I never had any problems fundraising for anything that they were doing. And if any of them had any, medical conditions or albinism or anything, I would have had no problem. Putting myself out there was a little hard. I was sure nobody was going to come. Well, I was wrong, but and that's when I realized that hosting an event like this, really, when I'm encouraging new people to do it, do what you're comfortable with. There's people that go and do a lot, and that's fine. But if you're not, doing a silent auction and everything is out of your comfort zone at first, don't do it. It's just like having a kid's birthday party, and then you ask everybody for money. Well, that's down and dirty. I guess we keep ours fairly simple. We bowl. We don't do food packages with ours at all. But I guess we're really talking about building. It's really built a lot of community here. We actually, the town I live in is a suburb of Milwaukee. My brother and I both live here. Population is 17,000. We actually have 4 people with albinism in town now, so it's kind of like we're way over quota. Mm-hmm. And another family that lives just, maybe 7 or 8 miles away with 3 children with albinism. And there's really a sense of community that's developed over the past few years. I mean, as far as connections, I've made connections with people that, with the one low vision store that donates things for our raffle. I was in there one year getting stuff, and the lady looked at me. She says, "Can I have your email? Sometimes I get things donated that, returned that we can't sell, but they want us to pass on to somebody that can use it. I have a CCTV right now." I'm like, I know the perfect family. They have 3 kids. Things like that. I've been able, the one young lady that lives by me babysits for these 3 children. Well, actually, there's 5 children in the family. Just even like neighborly type things. Hey, can you come and sit at my house while, I'm having a TV delivered and I have to go to work. Are you off today? Can you do this? So it's really become more than just albinism. We've become, a community, neighbors, friends. We've gone out for, ice cream on a summer night. Let's meet here for, an hour tonight or something. So it's really grown into more than just we're going to bowl once a year and raise money for NOAA. Yeah, I've just got a couple of, tips and suggestions from mine. I know it's not possible for everybody based on where you live. I live in a Community Milwaukee has adequate public transportation. I always try to make sure that my Bowl-a-thon is in a pretty well easy to find, accessible by public transportation, not necessarily easily. It's not always easy, but that people can get there, because I want people there. I don't want people to say, well, I couldn't get there. How was I supposed to go there? I don't drive, whatever. I mean, we have people that would pick people up and give rides too, but that's something that for me I'm aware of. And one of the things I like to do when we're talking about, educating and providing information, I go out and buy a cheap, trifold science fair board and cut up some of the albinism, print out some of the albinism information and where the money from the Bowl-a-thon goes, and tape it all over that with pictures from some NOAA events and stuff, and gives people something to look at, and lay out some of my past issues of albinism inside. If somebody takes one, it's all the better. It's less clutter for me to keep in my house. But, so I do sort of a display like that. So, if they have questions and want to talk to me, fine, but I'm not like in everybody's face all the time about it either. So I guess those are my two really successful things that I, have had success with mine. And we'll let Christine go because she's really a pro at this.
Oh, no. It has definitely grown. I think now it's a bit of a different perspective than Joni's. I'm a mom of two boys. So my oldest one is 8, Owen, and he has albinism. So we went to our very first Bowl-a-thon when he was, I guess it was around 6 months old. It was the first time I ever met anyone with albinism. Just not sure what to expect. It was in Baton Rouge, which is an hour drive from us. So we were like, let's go check this out, see what, and it was something for NOAA. So we were just starting to get into everything. And it was so inspiring. It was just that community, and it felt so good to just see and talk to someone, because we were just so curious. So after that, I'm like, well, it's true. It's just like, doing your kid's birthday party. So you're like, well, let's just start small. We won't make, tons of flyers to send out everywhere just yet. We'll just, get family and friends together, and we'll go bowling that weekend. And so we did that, and it turned out way bigger than we thought it would. Owen was the only one for the first few years, pretty much. But it did keep getting bigger and bigger. As it got a little easier every year, I kind of branched out a little more and more. So now I have a flyer that I send out to all the local schools, because I got through the school board office, approved it, because they have to go a whole process of things that can be sent out. So the school board approved it, so I can send it to every principal. They print it out and send it to every child, and I'm connected with the, all his doctor's offices. They all know him, and we have one other child here in Thibodaux that has albinism. She's about 2 years younger than Owen. So we start, connecting through them. So there was another family, and a few other families, one by one, would come in. This year we have 2 more families that I just connected with maybe a month ago. So I'm pretty excited they're supposed to come. So it definitely has gotten bigger. It's a little different the way we do it. I guess like what I do, detail-wise, when they come into the Bowl-a-thon, the bowling alley that we do it with in Houma is Creole Lanes, and they're very easygoing, especially since I had it there so many years. They're kind of like, it's just repetitious now. But they're like, okay, you got this, go ahead. But usually I tell them I'll set up a table at the front door. So when someone walks in, they have a big, NOAA sign. And so they usually come to the table, and we hand out a ticket that way. So they take the ticket, they pay me, they take the ticket, and they go get their shoes, and they get, the bowling alley assigns them a lane, then they go to the lane. And after I get a certain amount of people, I go pay the bowling alley their share, and then they turn on the lanes. So usually within like 15 minutes of it starting, everyone has their lanes, and it's usually about 12 lanes or so we have people, and I'd say about 6 people at each lane. And they bowl. It takes about 2 hours. I try to get it to where we start out, we have cosmic bowling to where it gets purple and bluish lights everywhere, and the kids love it. So I try to start an hour before that. That way we can actually see everybody and talk and mingle and, kind of see what's going on. And then once everybody's okay and comfortable and maybe asked all their questions and stuff, then, it gets a whole lot better towards the end. The kids all have fun with the purple lights and everything. But I do also put out like a question table. I'll get any kind of information I can possibly put my hands on. I put out the Albinism Insight magazines. I even put little tabs, in the magazines if they can just flip right to a story, maybe about Owen or somebody local that they might know. Trying to think of what else. I think that's about it. Is there anything in particular that you guys want me to touch on, or do you have any questions about it? Or
I do the same thing as far as I don't necessarily have a table right where they walk in, but there's a table where they can see me and they pay me and get a ticket or a wristband or whatever. I've had to switch bowling alleys about 3 years ago because the one closed, and the one I have now is really easygoing.
Oh, good.
They kind of watch the people too, and we always come up with the same count, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They pay me, then they go and get their shoes, and I'm giving. I start with whatever lane 1 and just fill up that way.
And so we also do. We also do a silent auction, and that is more like after I book the Bowl-a-thon, I book the bowling alley, and I can send out my flyers, and reminders and emails and, just updating and letting everybody know when it is. The biggest part leading up to that is getting donations for our silent auction. Somehow every year I think, it's not going to be that big this year. We don't have a whole lot of things, but whatever's there is fine. So, and then every year I have to add like 2 more tables by the time the Bowl-a-thon comes. People just show up with, can you put this on the silent auction? I'm like, well, definitely. I'll put anything on there.
Right.
So it gets better.
I'm hoping ours is going to improve this year. We do a raffle. We sell raffle tickets as opposed to, auction bids, but it hasn't really grown too much. I'm enlisting somebody this year, and it looks like it might be a little bit better this year. I'm hoping so. We also made a connection last year. Oh, go ahead with question.
Good.
So you said about 15. So let's say if you say that you start at 1 o'clock and then people are trickling in, but you do want to let everybody get started bowling at a certain point. You said it's about 15 minutes later is usually when you
No, I kind of keep it open. I'll stay at the front door. Like, I don't actually bowl myself. I know I hate to admit that.
Neither do I.
I know. I don't like that, but, I just kind of keep everything organized. So, I'll go around, make sure I can put connections together, because sometimes I'll have one family sitting right on the other family, and they just hesitate, So I'm like, okay, Tracy, do you know Madeline? Madeline, do you know Tracy? And I'll go and make a few connections, and then I'll let it go, let them do their thing.
So how do you handle the arrivals and walking up to pay? I guess what I don't know is so the bowling alley asked for me to pay for everybody at once. Okay, so I had to pay the deposit, and that's 50%, and then then they want me to pay for everybody at once. And they're going to have to just deal with it. I'm not going to be able to do that because people will come in waves,
And
but
you won't know in that amount of people.
I had to do that with our first bowling alley. It was like a 50% deposit, and then I had to pay the rest of the day of the event. But I was able to pay at the end.
Okay.
That helps.
That's good.
Yeah, I didn't have to pay before they showed up. I paid at the end.
So somebody mentioned wristbands. So I need to have something that's like a ticket. So it could be a wristband or something that people receive, so the bowling alley knows who has paid and who hasn't.
You could stick on name tags for that matter, or a bowling pin sticker or something that identifies them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for the only reason we give them a little ticket when they pay me to take to the actual bowling alley counter is so they can get their shoes. Other than that, they pretty much trust us as far as, like I said, they're easygoing, so they trust us to get that person to the lane, just let them know what lane they're on. That did take a couple of years to organize to get down perfectly. So that's a little bit trial and error. And, a lot of it depends on the bowling alley. But maybe asking them to pay at the end would be a good suggestion.
Okay, I'm going to do that. And so two other things to ask you related to what you said. One is you said you wait on the Cosmic Bowling until you've had a chance to. Do you have a period where you talk to everybody, make a little brief presentation, or
no?
What do you do?
Our first two bowl-a-thons, I did towards the end. I got everyone together. We took a huge group photo, but it was at a very, very small bowling alley. It's actually closed now, so I can't have it there anymore, and that's when we moved to a bigger bowling alley. I don't, because it's so huge of a bowling alley, and we only have 12 little lanes on the end. So I don't think everyone would, turn around and pay attention to me. But, and everybody's on a different schedule. You have 5 adults on this lane and 6 kids on this lane. So they definitely bowling at a different time. But usually it's around 2 hours. So it all depends.
A lot depends on your bowling alley, too, Elizabeth. Ours turns, our event is, say, from 1 to 3. They pretty much turn the lanes on for us at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And turn them off. Well, they're generous. It's usually a little after 3. They let people finish up. But they activate them at 1 o'clock. So as people come in, they pay me, they get their shoes, they ball, they go, they start bowling.
Yeah. And with us, we do the bowl-a-thon at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, and the Cosmic Bowling throughout the bowling alley just automatically puts their Cosmic Bowling lights on at 2 o'clock. So I put the bowl-a-thon at 1 o'clock just so you can have the lights on and everyone have conversation, and it's pretty open. And then once everyone's, pretty comfortable, and then, the lights usually come on around that time. It's about an hour later.
All right.
This is Kelly here from North Carolina. I had a question. Kelly? I had multiple questions, actually. Is there, I've already booked the bowling alley, but is there something that when we're talking to them, if they want to donate the lanes for free to us, then that we can give them a NOAA tax ID number as a write-off for them?
Yes, we can provide that, a letter like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. Is that not something that we normally do when trying to go? This is my first bowl-a-thon that I'm planning. My husband and I were talking about this, but I didn't know anybody who's done it that way.
This is Christine. That's good to know that I can give the bowling alley that number, because what they do for us every year is they throw, usually it's like $2 or $3 to rent the shoes, and they always throw that in for free. So maybe could I possibly give the bowling alley the tax ID number and have that as a write-off for them? Like as a donation?
Yes, if they require it.
If they require it. No, they have never asked. I think it's just they just kind of do that for us. But I guess I'll leave well enough alone. Like I won't ask. But if they do, I know I can do that.
I have a question. So this is what I'm having a hard time is the actual logistics behind it. So I know I have a couple new moms with babies who are coming, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to bowl. So
I don't charge the babies to bowl.
No, and that's fine. Like one of our very first flyers, and we had plenty of a lot of older family members that have probably never even been in a bowling alley. They don't bowl, but they wanted to come to support us, and like, what could we do? And I said, you guys, if y'all want to just come and sit and watch, I mean, y'all can just watch Owen, watch him bowl, and his little friends this year, are coming. You guys can just come, and there's
and a lot of
snack bar. You guys can just.
Those watchers end up spending money at your raffle or your
exactly
auction if you have one.
Yeah.
I have a family with 7 people. There's 5 little kids. I think they all 5 might bowl a little bit this year. The 2 little ones, only a little. They're not really old enough to bowl. Only one parent works. I do not charge them for all 7 people.
Yeah.
I've talked to her. I says, hey, I know all your kids don't bowl. How does 40? Because ours is $10 a person. I says, how does $40 sound? She's like, fine. I'm like, fine. Just give me $40 and it's a deal. It works.
And then I also have like other family members the ones that don't bowl and they want to help. And I also have this donation, like just a plain donation box, and you'd be surprised how many people have change and they just throw it in there, or they have like $1 off of $5, so they just throw it in there, or they'll give me a 20 and it's 15 for our bowl-a-thon, so they'll give me a 20 and they'll say just put the 5 in the donation box. That donation box really does add up. So sometimes if I have a huge family like that, I can almost take out of there and say, look, this, you go ahead and bowl with this. I do have one family that has 4 kids, one with albinism, and I know it's one parent working, so they are limited. So I know when they do come, I do offer something like that. I mean, you don't want to offer it to everyone, but you're certain situations like that.
Right. You want to make it. Go ahead.
Do you want to send out, or do we have to send out the emails through NOAA? Because afterwards I saw where you can do that through the NOAA website, but originally I sent out an evite to not just my friends, but basically anybody who's already registered through NOAA in North Carolina in general. But do I have to go, or is it, are you trying to want us to do it through the NOAA website? Like send out an evite through NOAA? Did that make sense?
Not necessarily.
I was going to say that might be a Mike question.
Yeah, you don't. No, it's not. As a matter of fact, I would think that people would be doing it. They would be doing their own inviting.
Kelly, right? Are you talking about the donation page? Are you talking about using the friends and family and sending the email to there? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's what I was kind of just confused about, the whole NOAA page in general. It's like, was that just mine and I kind of email my own friends and family, or was that because I'm the host of one, do I send it out to everybody else that's got albinism saying, hey, I'm having this event in Chapel Hill at this date and time?
Well, okay, let's take it let's take it apart here a little bit. So the Friends Asking Friends page, when you set that up, that allows you to be able to email people, number one, to tell them about the event, if you want to do it that way. And what it mainly does for you is it's a vehicle for you to get donations. So what some people do, there's one family that they don't actually have an event. They go and bowl as a family as their tradition, but they just use the Friends Asking Friends page as a means to ask their friends and family to make a donation to NOAA. Now, what some people do is they do both. They say, okay, I'm gonna put all the information about what's going on that page, and I'm going to send out emails and direct them back to that so they can see the details, or they can make a donation. Or some people just set up the page and they just do all of it on their own, sending out the emails about the event, and maybe they don't direct them back to the Friends Asking Friends page. What NOAA does then, if you are, if you're okay with it being a public event, then you let us know, and then a postcard goes out in your area that would cover your bowl-a-thon and any other bowl-a-thons in your state or a part of your state. So again, what I said earlier, we'll do it any way you want to do it, and you can do it any way you want to do it. If you don't want it to be a public event, we don't have to publicize that. And if you want to use the Friends Asking Friends page to email to your friends and family, that's fine. But if you want to do it a different way, that's okay. That's okay too.
What is the email address that I should email about sending it out, make it a public event or a private or whatever? Who do I email about that? To
Bowl-a-thon@albinism.org.
And then one other question I had is when I had set up so when you click on North Carolina, it says like our team name, the Carolinians or whatnot, because at the time I had not booked the bowling alley. So how do I add that information to it now? Because it's not letting me go back in there and say, okay, we're having on the 18th from 1 to 3 at this bowling alley.
You should be able to get into your event page through your headquarters, and there's a tab on the top that says Edit My Event Page. So you should be able to edit your page.
Okay, so I thought that was my personal page, and that's where I'm getting confused. I'm like, I don't know what is for the event and what is my personal page, and I was just getting confused.
It is, on her behalf, it is very confusing. Mike, I forgot how many years ago, maybe just a couple of years ago, we switched to this. Is it Kintera, or am I saying it right?
Kintera, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Since we've switched over to this one, I do get a little confused. I find the last one was a little easier.
So, Joni, is that something you could help with?
Yeah. Kelly, I think we're friends on Facebook. If you want me, I can screenshot off of mine and message those to you so you can see. I can give you some, step-by-step instructions on how to get into your event page to edit it.
All right, thank you.
Not a problem.
So, Mike, a question. Back to what we're interested in doing, too, is reaching out to the albinism community here in our area, and we don't have access to that. You said that Noah could send postcards out for us?
Right.
So how do we make that happen? Could you just lay that out for me?
Well, as soon as you have, do you have the information all put? As soon as you have all the information put together, if you let Bowl-a-thon@albinism.org know, then we'll add it to our list of the postcards that are going to be going out. And we also want to make sure that it's on the event page on the website, and also that that we did. You do a Friends Asking Friends page?
Not yet.
Okay, so that's really kind of the three things that are best to get the information out, is to set up the Friends Asking Friends page, tell Bowl-a-thon@albinism.org, which actually is Joni, Elizabeth, and me, in case you're wondering where that goes.
Okay.
And then what we do is we make sure that the website is updated with the the event page that has the list of by state of what all the events are, and then Joni updates a spreadsheet that we have where Lori Aubrey makes the postcards up and sends them out to the people in that area.
Perfect. Okay.
And the postcards definitely work, because we've had a family with 2 little boys that came to our bowl-a-thon, and I've never had any contact with them. They just showed up at the bowl-a-thon and showed me the postcard that they got in the mail. So now every year I make sure I email and as soon as I have the date and everything, that way Noah can send out those postcards.
Right. I've had the same experience, both showing up and 2 weeks before my bowl-a-thon, going to the dentist and giving the receptionist my name and her putting her hands down very deliberately and looking at me and saying, "You are Joni with Noah. I got the postcard. I have a daughter with albinism."
Oh, wow.
You remember that, Mike. That was,
and one of the things that we do is that, if you're willing to, put the information out there, on the postcard, for more information, email, such and such an address, or some people even put their phone number out there.
I do. I put my info because I don't mind them contacting me. I put my email and my cell phone number in there.
Yep.
Yeah, and the people that will get that postcard are only those that have contacted NOAA, so we know that there's some connection to the albinism community. It's not just like a general list that we made up. It's based on our members and contacts. So, Elizabeth, did you have anything to add to this? I tried to get that in earlier.
Well, just so that I understand the 2 pages on the website saying, because that question resonated with me because I was sort of fumbling through that myself. So just let me make sure I understand it. 1 page is sort of like your storefront, and that's the event page, and that would give everybody out there that you're willing to know about it. I mean, like if it's open to the public or whatever, that's the page where you're advertising that. And then there are sort of like sub-pages on there and that's on this system, it's called your personal page. So if you go into the little sidebar and say edit my site, then sort of across the top are options, and one is edit my personal page, and then you go over a couple and it says edit my event page.
Right.
My personal page I created for my son, and so he and his brothers are all telling everybody about it. And so they will share the link to the event page and to his own personal page, unless you tell me, Joni and Mike, that I'm doing this wrong. And then people can go visit that page, and it also sort of draws them into the NOAA website where they can see, well, what is this about? And they kind of get a lot of information ahead of time.
Right.
And then they can make a donation through that page, right?
They can make a donation through either page. If they make it through your personal page, the donation will show up as, like you said, your son's total. If they make it to the event page, it will come up as a team donation. I got a team donation today from, it's a relative of mine, and of course, he always does it as a team donation because it's for both me and my brother. Okay. And we both have individual pages, so I like to tell people that the event page is your event information, your team page, and I try to put all the event information there. My personal page, or what I tell people, and I try to encourage them to make personal pages if they're going to come to my Bowl-a-thon and they have albinism or someone in their family has albinism. I'd really like them to make a personal page and ask their friends and family for money too, so that doesn't just fall on me.
And they would do that through your event page, right?
Yes, they would go through my event page and click on create, join event team, and then they would have a personal page. I tell them the personal page is your page to tell your story or tell your child's story.
I like that.
Or your albinism, what NOAA means to you, or, why you're supporting NOAA.
Okay. That kind of clears it up a little bit, because I think I was getting confused with event team page and the individual. I think I was getting them crossed.
You know what? In the long run, I don't think it's the end of the world.
No, exactly.
You mentioned something that I just thought sounded like gold, okay, and that is that you have a letter that you got approved by the school district, and they send it to all of the students in their district with albinism?
No, actually they send it to every kid in the school. Like we have 2 elementary schools and a middle school that I know receives every single child that goes to that school, which is hundreds, could be thousands. They all go home with a flyer about the event and it's usually the week of the event that I ask the principal to send it out.
Wow.
So what I did is I went through the school board office and through the special education department. It was approved. I explained what it was, introduced myself and everything, explained what it was, and I mean you can do that over email. And then they approved it. So I was able to email the 3 principals of the local schools right here that I know of, and the principal or the secretary printed out however many kids they have in that school. That's how many flyers they printed out, and it went in their teachers' boxes, we call it, in their homeroom, and they gave it out to their homeroom kids.
I would, if you would, I'd love to see it if you'd share it with me.
Definitely, I can share it. I was going to say that if you want to give me email addresses, I do have a couple of. I have a flyer, and I also have asking for donations from either a business or possibly an individual. But usually I send this to businesses, like his eye doctor. I also send it to his pediatrician. I send it, I mean, he has 3 different eye doctors at the moment, but so, I mean, and I send it to his pediatrician. I send it to a pediatric therapy place we have here in town. I'm trying to think of who else I sent it to. My dad, the company he works for, he always gives a donation, so I mail that out. If I'm able to present it to them in person, I do. But if they, like my dad's company, I usually mail it to him. Sometimes I'll put a little picture in there or something, but to make it a little more personal. But, I mail that out to them, and they can check off what they want to donate, what they want to do with it, how do they want me to advertise that they're the ones that donated it, and, make sure it's in Owen's name, like, in honor of Owen. I have all of that on my Word documents. I mean, I can definitely share it with you guys, and you're more than welcome to use it.
I would love it. I would love
it. And I mean, I'll send it to where you can edit it however you want. So
that is wonderful.
And we looked at sending out for the school district the flyer, but that just kind of overwhelmed me. If everyone showed up, I would just lose it.
Yeah.
Which I know that wouldn't happen, but still.
No.
So what our principal suggested was we couldn't just put a flyer in the kids' folders in my daughter's class, but we could fold it up into an envelope and treat it like a birthday invitation. So we just passed that out. It had her picture, and I wrote or typed out just like a little letter saying, hey, this is Madeline. She's in your kid's class. She has albinism. This is kind of, just a brief of what it was. So it was great to kind of invite them to come out and support, and also gave some awareness of that white-haired kid in their class.
Right,
and that's
a wonderful idea too.
That's perfect because that's how ours started out. I only passed it around to his classroom first because the kids. They just, he's just Owen, but, you start to want, as they get older, you want him to explain if they have questions. I like it to be out in the open. I say education, is better, knowledge. So it's grown to what I've explained of the 3 schools I send it to, but, it started out exactly what you're doing. So it's whatever you're comfortable with, I mean, I even have a little stack of flyers I'll bring to different convenience stores around here, things like that. And my office that I work at is a medical office, a dental office, so I keep some on the counter over there. So it's grown to that point, but it was not always that point. It's just whatever you're comfortable with.
Send my personal flyers, not the ones that are asking for donations, but the one, just the event flyer, inviting people to the event or to
That's what I mean, those flyers. Yeah.
Right.
I don't send the donation sheets.
No. But I'm saying I send my personal ones. I send those. I always make sure I get those like to the eye doctor and the dermatologist and stuff too, because you never know who they're going to come up. Like you said, you never know who they'll come across. I also send them to the agencies, like our, here it's called Vision Forward. It's our low vision blind. It's the agency that provides birth to 3. Actually, all the way lifetime. They have that's where you go around here for low vision exams and things like that. They have a low vision store. I send a flyer there. I send one to our state school for the visually impaired, just so that they're aware that this is going on. This is where you might come across people with albinism. I also, through one of the other people here who worked at, she's high up at Industries for the Blind, connected with our Milwaukee Blind Bowlers League, and I had several people from them come and bowl with us last year.
That's great.
So, just making connections, and it does take, like you said, Christine, it doesn't happen your first year. It takes a few years to get to some of these things.
Exactly. We just start off small, and the best advice I could possibly get is, I think I've told Elizabeth this already, just keep a notebook and mark, 2017, these are my notes. As I keep that book with me everywhere. I have a folder, and, I can always go back and look at what, I could have did different,
and
what
I save
worked,
my
what
flyers.
didn't work. Yeah, I save everything from it. So now I have a big box that's labeled Bowl-a-thon. I can go back and look through there.
I have a Rubbermaid tote with all my Bowl-a-thon stuff in it.
I need to make it a Rubbermaid.
Then I can just pick it up if I want to and put it in the trunk of a car and take it with me. It has a little basket I use
and that's
for the
exactly
tickets
what I do.
for the raffle, and I have my roll of tickets in there. I have my Albinism insights in there.
Same thing. Same thing. So that's the best thing, is just to keep, your records. And, if you do make a document or something like that, and make a list. Like the people that I do send, like the businesses and things like that I do send the donation sheets out to with a little bit of an explanation, and the event flyer with it. I keep record of like a checklist. I also have a checklist, so this is what I have to do first, and then this is what I have to do next. So next year, it gets a lot easier because I can just go down my checklist. So definitely, if you're first starting out, just start that notebook early.
Yeah, one of the things that I probably should have mentioned at the beginning, and the point here is that you starting out is going to be relatively modest, and you don't have to don't worry about making a ton of money or hitting it out of the ballpark on the first swing. The main thing is to get started. I remember when I did a fundraising cocktail party for NOAA back in 1995 with 2 other families, and my wife and I basically used our Christmas card list, and we wrote out we had printed invitations, and we wrote out the envelopes, and we had 65 or 75 of these, and I remember going to the mailbox and putting them in the mailbox thinking, everybody's going to hate me because I'm asking for money. Like, how dare I ask for money? And what happened was, a lot of those people were very generous because they're people that you know and care about, and they care about things that you feel are important. And we ended up doing well. And not only that, but people then after the first one said, well, when are we going to do it again? And the other point that I wanted to make was that the Bowl-a-thon, the revenue that we get from the Bowl-a-thon constitutes between 60 and 65% of NOAA's annual income. So any little bit helps. And, it didn't start out that way. When we did it the first year, we didn't make anywhere near as much as we do now, and it just builds over time. And I think that the important thing is that money goes to an organization that provides a lot of information and support, and hopefully is helping people deal with having a kid with albinism, or helping them deal with their own albinism. And it is really important what we do.
Mike, I remember the first Bowl-a-thon call I was on the first year that I had an event. You mentioned the Christmas card list, and I took that to heart, and I still send out my flyers that way.
That's a good idea. I'm going to have to try that.
Yep. This is Mark from Ohio. This is our first year doing this. We're not quite sure how to anticipate the amount of people that will show up. And the bowling alley that we're going to, they're requiring us to pay in advance for the lanes. And it's like $50 an hour, and we were going to do 2 hours. And we're not really positive on how many lanes we're thinking. We were initially thinking around 4, but for 2 hours, that's going to eat $400 right off the bat. Do you guys have any tips on how we can, help to mitigate those costs and lessen our risk of just kind of shelling out $400 and nobody shows up?
That was a terrifying part for me with my first bowling alley, too.
Same thing here. You never know how many's going to show up.
Right. Luckily,
our bowling alley told me that I could have until a certain date to adjust the number. So I had to pay a deposit of 50%, and then they told me that I could adjust a few days ahead. And as long as I don't miss that deadline, they said I can adjust down or up, and not have to, eat it if I miscalculated.
My suggestion is that, however you decide to promote it, that you ask people to tell you whether they intend to come or not. So you
would be, you would have to RSVP.
Right.
Yeah.
And if, maybe start out very modestly and just tell them, we only want 2 lanes or 4 lanes, and until you know that you need more, and hopefully you ask them if I find out 2 weeks ahead or a week ahead, can I up that number if I need to?
Okay. Yeah, that's good advice. We're not sure right now. We're the only ones in Ohio. We were under the impression that there was going to be another Bowl-a-thon up in northern Ohio, but I haven't seen anything on that yet. So I'm thinking that some of the community might come to Central Ohio with us.
So where are you in Columbus or?
Columbus, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're trying to gauge it. We want to make it a public thing. We don't want to be short on lanes. We don't want to overbook on lanes. So I think if we have an RSVP thing, that's probably the way we need to go.
I don't know if this would work, but I know earlier we talked about ask the bowling alley if they would be willing to reserve the lanes, but you can, after everyone shows up, then you have the exact amount, and then pay them, like say your bowl-a-thon starts at 1 o'clock, you can pay them at 1:15 or 1:30, like once everyone's started. If not, maybe even possibly ask them if you sign a contract saying, I will pay, I don't know, something in writing. I guess they worry that they'll lose money.
I had to do a contract with my first alley.
Yeah,
the first place I used. It was,
I think they just want your trust to say that you're going to pay for it, and that's where the contract comes from, and offer to do that maybe with them.
Is there a minimum number of hours for the lane? Are they saying you have to do 2 hours per lane or a minimum of 2 lanes or something like that?
No, I don't believe that there's a minimum. It's Saturdays are a really busy time, especially in winter time. Everybody's trying to do indoor events.
Mhm.
So I don't think that there's a minimum.
I try to do it when it's not as busy. Like our bowling alley does a lot of birthday parties. That's popular in that bowling alley. So I try to do it when they're not having the birthday parties because, the bowling alley doesn't seem to work with you as well because they're trying to keep track of way too many things going on. So when they're just a tiny bit less busy, I guess, it seems to work out a little better. They're a little more laid back to where it flows a little better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, we're having the same issue as he. That's why I was asking about having the bowling alley donate the fees to us so I wouldn't have to front the money because we have no idea how many people are going to show up. That was the reason why I was asking about the tax ID number. So at least for that first year, I'd have a better idea how many people will keep showing up, and then it would be a tax write-off for the bowling alley. So that was the reason, because I'm having the same issue he's having.
Yeah, unfortunately, our lane they said that because it's a busy time, they won't be able to donate the lanes to us. They would be able to do that in the summertime, but because it's slower. But we wanted to do it around the same time that everybody else was doing it.
Yeah, like even like on Sundays, that like the whole weekend, they're just busy the whole weekend.
Yeah. There's only a couple of nice bowling alleys around us that we would want to invite guests from out of town to.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, on the list of events page on the NOAA Bowl, Joni, I think I've seen that you have an RSVP to your email. Does that work pretty well? Do you get a good idea?
I have horrible luck with RSVPs. Most of what I get through my email are people that are not my usual people.
Gotcha.
Those are the people that usually come through my email are people that have gotten the postcard, have seen online, that have never come before, or I don't know well. The people I know well talk to me, reply. I made a Facebook event. They'll reply on that. I have a group of people that go to the gym my brother goes to that basically respond to him and say, there's 6 of us coming. So I kind of get them from all different sources. But it would be nice if people would tell me they were coming.
There's one thing that we may be able to offer here is that Lori has discovered over the last couple of days that there's a event ticket feature that we could set up. Did she talk about that with you, Elizabeth, or was
she set one up for me? She set one up for me, Julie.
Oh, she's okay.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that. There's a group, I think they're in Seattle. I was poking around on basically everybody's page. I think they're called like Rain the Lanes is the group.
Right.
They're doing one with, I think it's like Eventbrite or something, where they're selling prepaid tickets. That seems like a good way to go too.
Yeah,
but Eventbrite,
I think it's complicated having 2 different sites for people to go to. One for tickets, one for donations.
Yeah, I would promote either the events page, or like say if you're emailing the link to it or sharing it on Facebook or something like that. Promote either your ticket page where they can buy a ticket, or the other one, because it could could get confusing.
Because this has all happened real quickly in the last couple of days. The ticket option, I don't know whether that is where you're buying it or it's just a way of RSVPing. Did Joni or Elizabeth, did either of you talk to?
I know nothing about it.
Okay.
We have a link for purchasing the tickets, and then Lori said that she could set that up through our event page. So we're going to do that.
She has one set up for the Bluegrass Blondies, and just over today and yesterday we talked about it. And what I'm doing to hopefully encourage people to do that instead of at the door, just so we have a better idea, is that do a $10 ticket online and then up the price a few dollars at the door, because everybody loves a good bargain.
Oh, that's
so
good.
the ticket, the facility that Lori came up with allows you to collect the money as well?
Yes, and then she can run a report separately. And so she's going to email me a report, and then I'll also have everyone's names and email addresses.
Okay, and so she authorized me to offer that to anybody tonight.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So is that directly through the Conterra, the friends and family?
Yeah. See, what from an accounting standpoint, when you get into the Eventbrite and collecting money, and it just gets really complicated in terms of our accounting, and it would be easier if we could use the the software, the Conterra software, to do as much of this as we can, so it's all in one spot.
Mike, with the software that NOAA has, if it is able to collect money for prepaid tickets, does that money, like in my example, I have to prepay for the lanes, so would that money go to reimburse me, or would that go into the NOAA donation?
When we set that up, then we would work out how that would, if we then need to, reimburse, we need to cut a check back, from the proceeds, we can do that. That's one of the big problems that we run into, is that when people have to front the money, a lot of people, it's okay. They're fine with, saying, all right, I'll throw it on my credit card, or I'll pay it, and I'll just pay myself back from the proceeds. Most people do it that way, but some people it's harder. They don't have the wherewithal to spare a couple of $100, for a few weeks, so.
Can I jump in on something that I learned today, Mike? I learned from Lori today that because we were going to just do we were just going to handle all the money ourselves, because I wanted to be able to get paid back for the deposit, so that I would be able to send NOAA a donation that would be tax deductible, that I would get a receipt for. But then she told me, and this is kind of why she was encouraging me to sell the tickets through Friends Asking Friends, she said that if I give her the final receipt from the bowling alley that shows the part that we chipped in ourselves, that NOAA can give me a receipt for that.
Right.
That would be as a tax deductible contribution. So that like really took a lot of weight off of me, because if I don't have to handle the money and I can get a contribution receipt for the deposit we've paid, that makes me happy,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There have been years where I have considered my deposit, when I don't have to make a deposit at the current alley, but at the one I used before, I would consider. Well, my brother and I usually split the deposit, and we would consider that as our Bowl-a-thon donation, instead of making a bigger donation ourselves, cash. That was kind of our donation. We didn't take that money back. But like you're saying, you're getting the receipt from Lori so that it's taxed, shows that you didn't take the money back.
Is there a time frame on when you think you'll be able to find out if that is a viable option to do those tickets? I think somebody said the Bluegrass Blondies were doing that.
No, I'm saying that it is. We will do that for you if you want to do that.
So who do we contact directly for that?
Again, everything through Bowl-a-thon at albinism.org.
Okay. We'll email that then. Perfect.
Like when I did that first cocktail party, the three of us, we knew how much money we had to put up front. I said, "Well, I sure hope somebody comes, or else we're going to have a very expensive party."
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And all my fears of not enough people coming to cover what I did as far as my deposit. In the 5 years I think I had to do that, it never materialized that it wasn't covered. There were a couple years I didn't take the money back, but that was a personal choice as far as, increasing the donation to NOAA. But I never had an issue with not enough people showing up to cover what I had put in. Somehow it just magically works out. I guess that NOAA magic extends to Bowl-a-thons a little bit sometimes.
All right. Is there Anything else anybody has? Again, the Bowl-a-thon at albinism.org is the best way to get to us.
I just want to say thank you for everyone participating and helping out.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.